Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War, the Duel, and the Crown event in which the Duelist is added to the game. So as you guys have probably seen, we have ourselves a brand new kingdom, something that doesn't happen too often. Lately we've been getting about one per year, though this year might have two, we don't know for sure yet. But it does seem somewhat likely. But anyways, this is the first kingdom, at least of the year. It is a pure Wargare kingdom, bringing in the first ever Wargare hero class, which means we will finally now have a hero class for every single major typing within the game, as of this Friday when we have that class event. So that's going to be pretty cool. We also have a kingdom pass going with it, so if you want to get that, it does have a bunch of unique rewards and all that. And let's start getting into things. So let's start all the way from the standard stuff and get into all the teams, the new mechanic, as there is a brand new mechanic, and you're about to see it right now. So, the Duelist, what does he do? Well, he comes in with many things in this kingdom, having this new mechanic here, which has a lot of implications to be insanely absurdly good. Keep in mind, most things that are currently released with it are kind of average, so the next mythic coming out looks pretty decent. But this is a mechanic that, when done ridiculously good, are become main staples of the meta. This is a mechanic that has been asked for quite a long time, and they have finally figured out a way to code it. Because I'm pretty sure they would have added it a while ago, as we've been needing this for a long time within this game. So, of course, we have a lot of troops within the game that have random mechanics, like they'll do one or the other, or they'll do like 3 different things and only do one of those 3 things. Well, however, there is now a mechanic that you get to choose which one you get to do. Instead of it just being pure RNG which one you get, you can now choose between 2 different options. I don't think we currently have any that have 3, though. Hopefully at some point maybe we will. Of course, with double options, this now means you could theoretically have 8 casts on your team, with every single option on your team having a double option. And yes, there are hero versions of this as well, meaning even your hero, with its basically 10 traits, can also have 2 different cast options. This has a lot of implications to be very absurdly good when done right, or very useless when underwhelming. This is an interesting kind of in-between where, unfortunately, it's a cool premise for this troop, but it is ultimately just not going to be worth using in most situations. But basically, it deals a bunch of damage to the enemy, and it either boost ratios based on their attack or boost ratio based on their armor. So for the very first hit, it is more likely that something will have a higher armor than attack in almost every situation, which means for the first hit, you are likely to do the boost ratio based on their armor, as their armor would be higher. But then afterwards, something that like Blade Dancer and a few others suffer with, is once the armor is gone on a troop, well, what does it do? It barely does any damage. Well, this has a solution. It can now go boost ratio based on their attack. So if something you already hit has no armor anymore, you can now boost ratio from their attack value and still have some amount of boost ratio rather than 0, since they, are out of armor now. So this is a interesting mechanic, and while this troop itself will likely never really get used outside of Arena, it's the premise of these kind of troops really interesting to see where they end up taking it ultimately. But yeah, that's pretty much a troop in a nutshell. So with that being said, of course, they are in the event key drop table. One thing to mention, do not overspend on event keys this week. Main reason being, you might notice there's a specific word missing over here. There is no mythic. We won't be getting the first mythic for this kingdom until, gosh, what's the first Friday of next month? The 3rd. So until March 3rd, there is no mythic in this kingdom. Meaning, if you open event keys, there is a 0% chance you will get a mythic. Not like some kind of very small, like the normal 0.11, but quite literally 0. It is impossible to get a mythic during this duration. Of course, you can still open these in order to get all the new troops. We'll probably see every single one of them right here, except for the legend. Oh gosh, we didn't even pull a legend. But you know what? We'll just do it again. Well, I want to see the legend. But these are all the troops, literally everything that is currently in the drop table. You might notice there's only 5. Yes, that is the full event key drop table. I don't even need to go to the other thing. This is literally the entire drop table. So it is advised to pretty much not spend that many event keys this week. Obviously, you can do some, but you're really only getting 4 things. You're getting the Void Caller, which is the legend from the kingdom. I believe you get this for free from completing out the kingdom questline, which I still haven't done yet as the recording of this, so we will tonight, our normal stream. The Duelist we literally saw, you can get them for glory. And these are, I believe, just in gold and glory keys. You should be able to get them pretty easily through there. So you don't actually have to spend any event keys. You could just completely pass. You might miss out on the Void Caller, but that's not really too big a deal, though it's kind of interesting what it can do. It's probably the first instance of one being, like, somewhat usable. But anyways, this is the whole drop table. So if you're opening any event keys, this is what you're getting. That's the entirety of it, all 5 of those. Everything else that you might see are locked behind other things, mostly the Kingdom Pass that we have going on. Oh, that being said, we might as well go over to Kingdom Pass now, since there isn't really that many things to go over in the event key drop table, as you just saw the whole thing right there, as we just got every single drop. But of course, we have a new Kingdom Pass. The free side is free, the other side is $8 as per usual. Mechanics still the same. You have to go and basically go to explore, quick kill for like 10 minutes or slightly less if you get lucky. And then you get yourself your 10 crowns per day. And I just do that every single day or until you finish all the way to tier 50. And if you're slightly short by the end, just spend a few extra gems in order to buy all the way to 50, especially if you bought the paid side. But anyways, as far as unique loots, of course, you still have all the, I believe, deed books and all the normal things you have here, a little bit of gems, all that. I believe it's green deed book. Yeah, it's green deed book, which is good for upgrading, wait. Yeah, Zul'Carri. I forgot the color for a second because it's green and purple. Yeah, good for upgrading Zul'Carri, so this is one of the better 2 that you can end up doing. As far as rewards, we do have a unique pet, unlike all the ones that they've been doing for already existing kingdoms, which makes the pass have less value. Having one for a brand new pet does make it a little bit better value there. As far as the actual troops, unfortunately, nothing too enticing. I would say the most enticing thing is the weapon, and they did actually remember to put the better weapon on the paid side this time. There was one of them where they put the better one on the free side. But the Foxglove is the first instance we could see where the implications of a and mechanic, or, you know, either or kind of mechanic like this, a choose mechanic, has a lot of strength. So this can either convert all green gems to a chosen color, or explode a gem and create 10 green gems. So this will end up being able to do 2 different forms of mana accumulation, which can be very, very strong depending on which one is more optimal. Because the way that it normally works is you have 2 mana accumulators on a team, more often than not. One is kind of like a leprechaun, kind of like your turn 1, kind of like burst, empower option. And then the other one is locked into whatever it does, either like destroy the whole board or, you know, some kind of other insane board control option. But you never have the option to choose. Like you choose by having 2 different mana accumulators, but we've never really had an instance where you can solve that with one slot. Of course, this doesn't have empower, so you can't like fully solve it with one slot. However, this is the first instance where you could probably get away with 3 damage sources and a mana accumulator kind of build. Once we get more end mechanics, or choose mechanics, go out choose. I keep calling it end because of how it's marked on some other locations. But basically, with a choose mechanic, you have 2 different mana accumulation options. So if one of them isn't as optimal at a given time, like you can't convert all green gems to a chosen color because you have no alignment on the board or nothing worth taking, well, you don't have to. You can explode a gem and create a bunch of green and get a bunch of green mana. So it's really interesting to see what this will ultimately end up being able to do into the future, as the implications of it are very, very strong. And out of every single option that has an and mechanic in the current state of the game, I would say this ring is probably the strongest, with the second strongest being the legend. Not this legend in this pass, but the legend that you can get in the event key drop table right now. This legend is actually kind of underwhelming. It chooses to either do a bunch of true damage to an enemy, boosted by blue gems at a 2x boost ratio, or deal some splash damage, standard splash, boosted by blue gems as well. The boost ratio is not really that strong. It's not even enough to one-shot when maxed. It does have an interesting mechanic that actually has the same mechanic as Monk, in that it gets 3 mana whenever you end up taking an extra turn. Exact same mechanic, just named differently. Curious to see if more things will get this into the future. There's a couple troops and, of course, Monk Hero class that have this mechanic, but overall, everything they keep putting it on, aside from Monk Hero class, which has to compete with Elementalists on if it's worth using or not. But most things that they put it on just isn't worth using, unfortunately. And this is kind of no different. Also, they keep adding this new useless trait, or not keep adding, but for whatever reason, almost everything from this kingdom has this very useless 25% mana start trait. Generally, you would run with a 20% mana start, you know, if you wanted to round out your team. And this is a little bit of a weird one because 25% just on its own isn't really that good. I guess in an instance where everything else on your team is 50% or empower, then this 25% can get a little bit of value. But more often than not, it seems kind of underwhelming. It reminds me a lot, and there's actually a troop from this kingdom that's like that too. It reminds me a lot of when they added a 20% score reduction to the game. 25% was already kind of iffy on like if it's worth it or not. And then they go and add the 20%. And of course, they had to add a troop that has both the useless 20% score reduction and the pretty useless 25% mana start. Obviously, 25% mana start is better than none. However, in many instances, you're running like 20% into like 8 magic or 2 cleanses or something similar, meaning there are very few situations you're going to get more value. Also, compared to 20 and 25%, there are a lot of mana values where that's actually the same number, where 20% and 25% are effectively the same number, meaning it's just not that good, unfortunately. But anyways, oh, also while I'm here, I should probably go over all of the, might as well go over all the troops just real quick, just to do a quick rundown, and then go over everything else that we have going on. Going into next, of course, the journey event. So we do have one of those. Let's go to show all, so we can see all of them. So, but we already saw the drop table. The entire drop table is Vulpacea, the Red Fox, the Duelist, which you can also get for glory, Harper, which you can also get, I believe, 1 copy for completing out the quest line, and Voidcaller. That is the entire drop table. However, there are 5 other things that you can also theoretically get right now that are locked behind other pieces of content. One is Todd Greenwood. This is the current journey troop. You can end up getting him for 250 gems and use 2 blue orbs to max him. You might want to buy a little bit deeper than that, like to 500 if you want to go have multiple copies of him. I personally haven't yet, but I might. We'll consider it, as it is under the standard category they've been adding of create 1 billion gems of given color and loop forever category of troops. And for Wargare, this is really interesting, especially with its implication in the World Breaker, as there's really good synergy there. Though probably not too many other instances. But yeah, we already have this for purple through elves. We already have this through brown for constructs. Obviously, we're going to be getting it for the other 3 colors at some point in the near future. But now we have it for green. Anyways, so he's from the Journey event, and these other 4 are locked behind the Kingdom Pass. The Phoenix Thief and the Phoenix Mage, you will be able to get 1 copy for free. However, the ones that are purely money locked, at least for now, until a couple months from now, is the Wheel of Fortune. Oh, I didn't even realize that's the name. That's funny, Wheel of Fortune. I can't see that term without thinking the game show, or, you know, the TV show of it, which I think is still running these days, right? I haven't watched TV, like, or, you know, standard Keeple like that for ages, but I'm pretty sure Wheel of Fortune is still a show that is ongoing. Is that an American thing, or do people outside of America know what that is as well? Because I know anyone from America knows exactly what I'm talking about, and probably otherwise as well, because it's a probably pretty decent show, popular show. Might still be. I'm not even sure if it's still running. But anyways, yeah, Wheel of Fortune. It's pretty useless anyways. But anyways, on to what we're saying. Tangent aside, these 2 you do get 1 free copy of on the free side, so you will be able to get them. These 2 you'll be able to get at a later point. They are on the paid side, but this will be in the Volky drop table a couple months from now if you want to get it that way. Free to play, you'll be able to get it then, and this will just be in all the standard drop tables in a couple months as well. And it's not really, you're not really missing out on by not having these 2. As neither of them really do anything particularly relevant. Honestly, none of the 4 even do anything particularly relevant. I would say the only good options are the paid weapon, one of them on the paid side, and Voidcaller, as well as the Mythic that's coming up, as well as some future options, as the mechanic itself, very strong. And I'm curious to see if it's going to come into new kingdoms, because as of currently, it is only within this kingdom. Obviously, that's probably going to change in the future. We'll see this mechanic move to maybe some other typings, but currently, it is only within this kingdom. So we'll see exactly what happens with it into the future. But anyways, but yeah, long story short, those are the 5. You already saw them in the drop table. This is from the journey event. The other 4 are from the pass. These 2 on free side, these 2 on paid side. That's the 4 rundown there. Anyways, let's go actually talk about the event. So of course we have a journey event. This is the 4th, 5th, I'm losing track. I want to say 5th. But we have not had that many journey events. They're pretty rare. One pretty noteworthy thing about them is there is an achievement associated to doing them. There's an achievement specifically for doing, 2,000 points within a single thing, or within a single journey event. No, it couldn't have been 2,000. Sorry, 20,000 points. I was going to say, it's not 2,000, that's a leaderboard already. Yeah, 20,000 points within one event, you end up getting achievement. I believe it's one of the most unachieved achievements in the entire game, if we actually break it down. You guys can see this, right? Yeah, you can. Perfect. But if we go down here, though it's going to go up, given that we have an event for it right now. Yeah, it is, at least on Steam, it is like the tied lowest in the game. So it's obviously going to go up after this week. But yeah, earn 20,000 points in a journey event. A very hard to do achievement, mostly because it costs thousands of gems. So I would not do this if you're earlier on in the game. It's just not worth the thousands of gems investment. But if you're comfortably later in the game, this could be something you might want to invest your gems into, especially if you want an achievement hunt for the last few that you might be missing. So this is an opportunity to do it. Though you do have to do the whole 20,000 within a single journey event, which does mean, yes, it's going to cost like 3,000. You have to obviously buy all the rewards and then buy the last one at least 2 times, maybe 3 or 4. I'm not sure exactly what it comes down to. Also depends on Valraven luck, and of course if you lose any battles, as they do start to get a little bit harder later on. As far as for most people, if you're not going for the achievement, you mostly just want to buy to tier 4. The only reason you'd buy deeper is, well, 2 reasons. You'd buy to tier 4 so you can run 2 of him on a team, or 3, though realistically you probably only need 2. And the other one, of course, is what we just mentioned. If you're going for the achievement, you will probably need to buy all the way to tier 7 and also buy tier 7 like 3-ish times or so in order to reach the 20,000 points that you need in order to maximize your points. As far as just doing the battles, it's pretty straightforward. Just make sure you always have the maxed out Pathfinder. And by maxed out, I mean get him to Mythic so that you get the full bonus. I have his final trait unlocked so you get it 3 times. And unlike Bounty Hunter, where you have to use like 4 on a team, you get the full bonus from simply using 1 of him on your team. Just make sure he's maxed so that you are getting the 3 times bonus. And of course traded, so you're getting the 3 times bonus. But you only need 1 singular one on your team. Using multiple does not increase your points. However, you can use multiple in order to just use this mechanic, where he just creates a billion green based on Wargare. And one other thing to mention about this event is we do not currently have a Wargare hero class until this Friday. So if your guild doesn't have kind of an immediate requirement on some events, it is slightly worthwhile from a time perspective to actually wait until Friday to do this event. You can obviously still do it very easily before then, but if you want to get the full effect out of the new Pathfinder, you would want to utilize the new hero classes Friday and use it in conjunction with it in order to use them both together, and it would just be slightly quicker if you end up doing it that way. That's mostly noteworthy if you're trying to go for 20,000. If you're just doing the standard battles, you can kind of just do them whenever. But it will save you probably like almost an entire hour if you end up waiting until the hero class comes out, if you're going to go all the way to 20,000. So definitely worth considering. The mode is very easy. Just click bigger number. Whatever one says more miles, click on it. That's pretty much all you have to do. That's the entire mode in a nutshell. There's some paths where you like sometimes get resources or some extra stats. You can pretty much just ignore them. Just take the biggest number and you'll be good to go. And it just keeps getting incrementally harder, as most of these modes do, as you keep going deeper. Very straightforward event. Pretty good rewards, too, because if I'm not mistaken, you do get deed books, and green deed books at that. So a lot of green deed books to be earned. It's on the paid side of the pass. You can get 2 for free just from completing out this event as a guild. So a lot of ways to get some more. And, of course, there's some standard... to mention it, too, while I don't normally mention it on the weekly video, we even have some on our adventure board today, if I'm not mistaken. We have some brown into an imperial. But anyways, that's a journey event. Let's go over some of the other events we have going on this week. So Tuesday is a little bit of a weird one. Normally, of course, the Tuesday faction is associated to, you know, whatever the faction is. Currently, I mean, whatever the kingdom is. So, of course, this week is for the new kingdom. But the new kingdom currently doesn't have a faction. We're not getting that until 1, 2, 3 weeks from now. I actually forget. But it's like within the next couple of weeks, we're going to be getting the faction for it. However, a couple weeks from now is not now. So we don't currently have a event for it. So what do they have instead? Well, the Broken Spire one. It's the one for Fire Rifts, whatever that one is in the middle. The, I want to say Fire Rift, right? It is called the Fire Rift. Yes, that is correct. So we have one for Fire Rift instead. So, yeah, it's not associated to the kingdom because this doesn't exist yet. Wednesday, we're getting a pet for the kingdom bonus for the, kingdom bonus for the kingdom. There's a little bit extra stats that you can end up getting with them. Thursday, we have a no-class event. The main reason for this is because of Friday, we are getting the brand new hero class. So, which we should be getting. I'm not sure why it says 9 days and 22 hours here. Because I believe we are getting one this Friday. We should be getting the new hero class this Friday. I guess it's just showing it because this is when next Wednesday one is. However, we should be getting one on Friday. Because basically what happens is they never run a class event on Thursdays when a new one's coming out on Friday. Which is one of the reasons why it's denoted like this. But normally it would say the next one is on Friday, though, which is a little bit weird. That might just be a bug for now, so hopefully they'll resolve that by Friday. We'll find out. But yeah, for whatever reason, there's some kind of issue with them being able to do like 2 class events in a row, where it's like if it's like a Thursday or Friday class event, they've never had that before. Some kind of issue with it. So instead they just have the class event on Friday, which means there's basically no event on Thursday this week, long story short. And instead we just have the Friday class event for the brand new Wargare hero class. Anyways, as far as Soulforge is concerned, I actually didn't peek at it yet. What do we even have? As far as Soulforge, Queen Titania, pretty good early game option. One of the few that might be worth considering, particularly with Yagwe Queen Titania. If you have a Yagwe and you don't have Queen Titania, may be worth considering, as the combination is very, very strong. Still to this day, one of the better AoE options that isn't a mythic. So how's that going for it? Because it's extra turn potential, has a lot of extra damage, really good boost ratio for earlier on in the game. And oddly enough, that's basically it, because none of the mythics look particularly enticing. There's like a Fairish Raw there, but compared to Ironhawk, just isn't really that worth it these days. You can still get a lot of souls from it, but that's about it. And of course, the Soulforge should have almost no weapons, because, well, we just got the brand new kingdom, so everything you could just earn through other means. So there's like nothing here. This is pretty much just all the stuff you can just always craft. Wait, is the only thing really this weapon? And you get this weapon, I believe, from 250 gems on the Journey event, which you should definitely do instead of getting it through Soulforge. But yeah, is that the only thing? That's really funny. Because this kingdom just came out, it has like nothing. Because the other two are currently through the pass. I don't think I showed the other one, but we did show the one weapon. But the two other weapons are from the pass right now. One of them is on the paid side, the ring, which we did end up showing, which is right over here. The one I didn't end up showing is the one on the free side, the final reward you get. It has a choose mechanic as well, where it deals a bunch of damage to the last enemy and steals 3 magic, or it deals a bunch of damage to the last enemy and steals 6 mana, meaning you're pretty much always going to want to click the steal mana one in most situations, as it will be stronger. For the most part, you're probably just never going to use this weapon. However, if you are, you will probably want to click the steal mana one. This is one of those instances where an either or just isn't really that useful, where there's like a clear option that is just almost always going to be stronger. And that's one slight issue with the choose mechanic, is on a lot of options. I didn't even show it on the other one either, but there's a lot of situations where there's a very obvious choice that is better than the other one. For example, one that is super obvious up there is the Harper. It either gets to give a bunch of life to all allies, or give all other allies half their mana. Obviously, in almost every situation, you're going to want to give them half their mana, because there are way better options within the game to end up giving life. Maybe there will be a rare circumstance where you want to click the life option instead of the mana option, which is kind of cool. However, if you're looking for something solely for increasing the amount of life on your team, there's much better ways to do so while also mana accumulating, while also having a billion other mechanics. Whereas this is mostly only ever going to be utilized specifically for its half mana that can give to all other allies, if you're even going to bother using it for that to begin with. But it's one of those where the other option is just way stronger. I like the Red Fox one. It basically solves the issue of a plus destroy. Because a plus destroy sometimes, you don't want both directions. So this one either gets to destroy a column or destroy a row, which is a cool, unique way of end up implementing it. So some of them end up working out, but other ones just end up being like, oh, there's 2 options, but only one of them you would click like 99% of the time, which is an issue that it can end up having as well. But there's some that do it in a unique way that actually is worthwhile, choosing the other option depending on circumstance, which is kind of cool, particularly with the legend, having either the big destroy or the mana accumulation, where one is a lot safer and you know more so what's going to do, whereas the other one's a bit riskier but has a way better payoff. So kind of interesting how these will end up working out. I really like the choose mechanic overall. It's just the current implementation of it, I mean, is just kind of average at the moment. Obviously, we're going to get plenty more options. This is kind of just the introduction of things that we're getting to them, and obviously over the months or even weeks during this event, we will be seeing quite a few more of them. Anyways, with that being said, let's go over a bunch of teams. Of course, all teams will be in the description below if you want to go copy-paste any of them. All the teams for pretty much everything going on this week will be mentioned right over here. Where am I going? Anyways, so let's start all the way from the top. Oh yeah, I didn't actually show the choice mechanic. This isn't an actual team, this first one. Let me go show it. I meant to do that a little bit earlier, but I guess we're doing it now. I don't know, I guess we'll just do it in Mirage. This is fine. We're mostly just want to show a couple of them. So I kind of just want to show the choice mechanic in action. Keep in mind, what we're using right now is not an actual team. Oh, there's one of the Battle Crashers. So, of course, that's what you need to do. Just basically spam Explore until you get 10 of those per day. And just do that, and you'll get all of the Kingdom Pass rewards. And it's worth doing, even if you're just doing the free rewards. Still quite a bit of loot in there that you'd probably want to go for. Okay, so let's start messing around with these mechanics. Actually, let me take one brown real quick, and then we'll start messing, since they can't really kill us anyways. So, of course, this has an either or. Generally, how you would end up using this one is you want to... We kind of explained this earlier, but you want to do the first one based on their armor boost ratio, and then the second one based on their attack boost ratio. This is mostly because most things will have a higher armor initially, compared to their attack value. At least in most situations, this is a rare circumstance where it's not quite it. But in most circumstances, an enemy will have a higher armor initially than their attack value. But then after you've hit them, obviously they will have a higher attack value. So for example, we could actually see this on the final trip right here, where his armor is higher. So we'd want to hit him for armor. Obviously, we already have way more than enough damage. But if it wasn't, we'd get more damage out that way. So pretty cool that way. Next, we have ourselves a either give life or give mana. And as we kind of explained, this is one of those either ors or end mechanics, or choice mechanics. I keep calling it like everything that isn't what it's actually called. It's one of those choice mechanics where there's a very obvious choice of which one you're clicking most situations, where it is going to be give mana. And now that we have the mana, here's one that's a bit more unique as far as what we can end up doing for. So this has two interesting things. We can either destroy all the purple gems. This you'd mostly want to do because you know where all the purple gems are on the board. Probably should have looked at them before I clicked this. But you already know where they're all going to destroy. So you know if they're going to run into an next turn. You won't know what the sky gems are, but you know, visibly on the board, you can see like where they're cascading to. You can see if you get any 3 pairs out of it, any 4 pairs, any kind of extra synergy that might work. But you can also see how many purple you have. If there's a lot of purple on the board, you could try going for the extra turn and or at least land a little bit extra mana. Unfortunately, we do miss here, and we will simply just go and poke him out. Boom, dead. Anyways, but yeah, that's your choice mechanic. You just get to choose. It's pretty much exactly what it says. So, next up. That's not an actual team. Now, starting the actual teams. Journey events. So, this one, you'd either want to double up on Todd Greenwood or double up on Lord of Slaughter. I just happen to have double Lord of Slaughter, so I figured I'd double up on that one. So Lord of Slaughter, probably the best synergy troop if you happen to have. Obviously, just run one if you don't have it, or don't have double, I mean. But basically, the Todd, Greenwood, into Lord of Slaughter. It's probably one of the strongest options Greenwood currently has as far as synergy. He creates a billion green, boost ratio by Wargare. Guess who is a green who uses Wargare, or is a Wargare? It is Lord of Slaughter, among one of the better skull spammers in the entire game, made even better by this synergy. The only slight conflict they do have together is he denies Brown, whereas Todd Greenwood needs Brown. So if you're using a team that has him behind it, which often you probably would, though this one does use in front, you would have the issue of him denying his Brown, but you're also clearing out the whole board with your Doom Skull, so realistically, enough board will be cleared. You'll still have some Brown on the board in order to be able to go mana accumulate for him, so it shouldn't be too big an issue. You can also solve this by just having a weapon that will also be mana accumulating for you, so you have that. Also keep in mind, you are restricted to greens for this event, and this does include your weapon, oddly enough, so you are restricted on green on weapon. If you need more of a budget team, just spamming multiple Todd Greenwoods if you want to buy into a tier that does give you multiple. Otherwise, offsetting with some Druids can end up working out pretty well. He has a link into himself, an actual 50% mana start, unlike those useless 25% ones, which is kind of funny as he's also under the Wargare category. But of course, they haven't updated the older ones, and I hope they don't. This guy definitely doesn't need a nerf. He's barely even usable now. However, he does have that nice 50% instead of those 25, so he does have that going for him. Which is quite a bit better, as, of course, 25% more mana. Sometimes even more, depending on how it rounds on a given troop, as I believe it does round down, not up, as far as when it's at, like, a threshold for a thing. Like, for example, 50% mana start on an 11 mana cost troop, I believe, is 5 mana, not 6, as it does tend to prioritize rounding down. Anyways, but yeah, you can just kind of offset that with a little bit of damage with that. Essence of Evils is here for a very accessible weapon that just always is good. And Todd Greenwood is just kill everything option. And of course, you might, with both these teams, you might want to consider changing to Wargear Hero Class this Friday once it is available. However, both of them, I believe I've used Archer instead, as it's a good sit-in up until that point. So you could use Archer for now or whatever you want to use, and then switch it out for the new Hero Class coming out this Friday if you want to wait to do most, if not all, of your battles until then. Anyways, as far as the faction, of course, this is not associated to the Kingdom. It's for the Broken Spire one of the Fire Rift. And for this reason, it is a brown-red restriction, so we can use pretty standard Guards Avatar, Quit, and Hadley. If you need some cheaper options, of course, this Gargoyle spam is always good. You have Angry Mob, you have Marilith, a lot of mana accumulators there. As far as the higher option, we're actually utilizing that Marilith. Oh yeah, we also have Harpy Mage, which is basically a turn to empower, as long as you have Enchant. Essentially on turn 2, it'll have full mana, even if fully mana blocked like now. And it has a Brown Storm, mass mana accumulation, works really good with High King Iron God and many other options. And we're basically just using a makeshift team of a High King Iron God Zulgoth build. It's not the most optimal, but based on the mana accumulators we have available, it ends up working out pretty well. And this is one of those teams I was talking about earlier that would benefit from a choice mechanic. Because you notice we're using 2 different mana accumulators for 2 different purposes. We're using Harpy Mage as a quick mana accumulator that also sets a storm, and we're using Marilith for just gain infinite mana with a single click option, but it takes a little while for it to get started. But if we eventually have an option that has an end mechanic that can kind of combine these 2 mechanics, that will lead to some interesting things into the future. As we could start running, not that that isn't already possible, obviously you can already be running teams that run 3 damage sources and a mana accumulator, but you'll have then 2 mana accumulating options. Whereas most teams now, and by most teams I mean all, if you're only using 1 mana accumulator, you only have 1 mana accumulation option. You don't have a choice between 2 different ones. You only have one. Like if this team used another damage source there, and Marilith was the only one, well, the only way we could mana accumulate is Marilith. We don't have a different option. It just, you know, full board clear with destroy. That's a really good option, a very ridiculously good option in the current state of the game due to how Magic scales it. However, that would be your only option. Whereas if we eventually have an AND mechanic that can basically combine these 2, and you now have a slot open where you could just put anything you want there. So be interesting to see exactly how that pans out in the future. That wouldn't really offset, empowers or two-turn empower, with the Harpy Mage 75% and everything with enchant. That won't really offset empowers, as there will probably always be a meta where you're running one better mana accumulator with one empower mana accumulator, like Leprechaun or something similar, kind of like how this build is. However, be interesting to see today where mana accumulators are more so just a one-slot kind of build rather than needing multiple on a team. Anyways, speaking of multiple, he's using like the 4 mana accumulators. They all mana accumulate. Anyways, as far as Spear Faction, it's pretty straightforward. Just run Magma Dragon until they're dead. Just keep spamming it. As long as you have 3 Magma Dragons going to the final fight, you should be fine. Just try to preserve at least 3 of them. Even with 2, you should be fine. And the class event this Friday is you could run Archmages forward if you want, or switch to the other one. But basically, we're just running a pretty standard Black Manacle, kill everything, if you're just going for the 25 gems. We're mostly just using this for its little bit of purple link, so it gives us extra mana into our weapon. I believe it also has a Storm. Yeah, Dark Storm at the start of battle, which is even more mana into yourself. And we're just doing Archmages, which has +3 purple, so even more mana into your purple. So you have like infinite purple mana forever. So just whatever purple weapon you want, spam it like crazy. If you need to cast Harper, you could just obviously do it on mana instead of life, and just gain a bunch of mana through either purple, giving 1 billion every time you take one, or by getting half manas every single time you take the Harper, and just end up winning out that way. You can also offset it with one of the damage source if you want, but we're pretty much just going into 1 billion purple into just auto-winning with any purple weapon of your choosing, Black Manacle just being the more accessible option for the event. Anyways, guys, that's a full rundown on everything. If you still have any other questions, feel free to leave in the comment section below. If you want to hear a reading of the new Kingdom, we will be doing that tonight, as well as pretty much anything else we might not have covered right now. We'll be doing that tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the same time we always stream every single night. And we'll add a few redeem codes as we normally do, with a little bit of loot in there, mostly gem keys. And yeah, just kind of going over everything with New Kingdom, go through the reading, maybe you mess with the troops a little bit more, and go from there. Anyways, guys, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Best of luck with all the new content. And we are still getting a new patch soon. Could happen tomorrow, could happen within the next few weeks. We don't really know when. But even though we just got a new Kingdom drop, that's not to say we're not also getting a new patch drop very soon. So that's something else to look forward to. That's right around the corner. But until then, we have the Kingdom to kind of do us in until then. Anyways, guys, best of luck with everything. Have a wonderful week, and catch you guys later. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.